Hello, this is Tony Rowland again with a Higher Calling Ministry, and I am your host. And this will be episode number 54. And the title, When We Look Closer, Is the Lack of Knowledge a Sin? Is the lack of knowledge a sin? Okay, we're going to do two chapters. Hosea chapter 4, 6 through 7 out of the King James Version. I'm going to start with that first. And I need to remind you, these two verses that we're going to be talking about today is from the King James Version. And it is also from the Old Testament. And just because I'm speaking from the Old Testament today, I hope that I hope you realize that the Old Testament is there for a reason. I know that we are New Testament Christians, but the Old Testament is there for us to what? It is for us to look and not repeat those same things that got the Israel in trouble. The Israelites, remember? So when I talk from the Old, because there are a lot of people that in the body of Christ that believe that the Old Testament has no validity, has no value for us today. And some of that is true. We don't do any of the killings. We don't do any of that type of sacrifices, but it is a different type of sacrifice that we utilize today. So, okay, now I just want to clear that matter up. Now, we're going to start with Hosea chapter 4, 6 through 7. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I also will reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thou God. I will also forget thou children. As they were increased, so they sinned against me. Therefore will I change their glory into shame. What is this basically saying? It is saying that when you have no knowledge and you're trying to understand the Bible and understand the interpretation of it, you have to be so very careful. I'm basically saying the same thing again. Because if there is no knowledge, if there is no one that has the special gift of knowledge, and there's no one that has the special gift of wisdom, it is going to be very difficult for you to have knowledge. And especially if there are no demonstrations, if there are no signs to whoever is trying to interpret the scriptures. You've heard me say that before. But many people utilize this verse, my people perish, or my people are destroyed because of lack of knowledge. This is in the Old Testament, but it also talks about it in the New Testament. It talks about it in 2 Corinthians 4:3 and 4, where it says that if the good news we preach is hidden behind a veil, it is hidden only for people who are perishing. You see how all of this is coming back in order again? Do you see that? How all of this is coming back in order. You have to have the special gift of wise advice, the special gift of wisdom, the special gift of knowledge to be able to interpret the scriptures. Otherwise, you would interpret it based on your own thought and send everybody reeling. Everyone will reel. Everything is based on logic now instead of your spirit. Do you understand? If somebody in the facility or somebody in the church that does not, if they do not have the gift, and that there are no miraculous signs and there are no demonstrations in the church, you got a problem. You got a problem. What is the problem? The problem, again, is logic versus logic. It is not spirit with spirit. It's logic versus logic. Who has the ability to what? Give the best expression. That what? Titillate my logic. Or their logic. You see? Now, we're going to move on to Proverbs chapter 29, verse 18 out of the King James Version. Okay, we're going to read it again, line per line, out of the King James Version, Proverbs chapter 29, verse 18. And it reads, "Where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he." Exactly what does that mean? Where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law is happy. That is actually saying that if there is no knowledge, isn't that basically what that's saying? It's saying if there is no vision. Well, actually, it is basically saying if there is no knowledge. It is basically rewording Hosea chapter 4 through 6 through 7. That's basically what it's saying. It's basically saying the same thing. You have to have special knowledge to carry on with this Christianity thing, to move forward in Christianity. You say, well, no, that won't save us. That won't save us. Okay, you might. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that grace and mercy will or should cover you for your sins for lack of knowledge? That's what many of the Protestant churches believe. They think grace and mercy should cover them, even though they have no knowledge. I'm telling you that lack of knowledge is a sin and can send you reeling to the pits. That's what I'm saying. And that's what that's not only what I'm saying, that's what the Bible is saying. That's what the Lord is saying. If you have no knowledge, you can't do nothing but go in the wrong direction. Am I correct to say that? Grace and mercy is not applicable, and you are not eligible for grace and mercy because you are moving in another direction. Grace and mercy are for those that are seeking and hitting and trying to hit the target in Jesus Christ. You follow me? It's those that are trying. Grace and mercy, those are the ones that are eligible for grace and mercy. So many people in the Protestant churches get this all fouled up. They think that they can sin, go against the scriptures, tell you that this doesn't mean that, and that doesn't mean that, utilizing their own logic, and that's supposed to cover them. And then they'll turn around and say that if that doesn't cover them, they will tell you that grace and mercy will cover you. The Lord is so good. He's so kind. He's this. The Lord would not do this. The Lord would, when you steadily trampling his scriptures to death. His word to death. So all I'm telling you is to be careful. I didn't have much to say today. So that's all I want to talk to you about. So if you like this podcast, I ask you to click, subscribe, and share with your friends. And I will see you